Okay, what I've done here is just to expedite matters. I just put a big old 400 UF cap right at the output of the diode. I'm using the diode too, rather than that selenium. So I've got down here I've got a diode hooked up, and I'm bypassing it with a 400 UF to ground to get as much of the ripple out as I can. It still hums quite a bit.
That's powerful stuff. That's really, really powerful stuff. And, you know, most of all, you know, like Rich was even saying,
that's with the in circuit.
You guys are really, you know, you and Roseanne, you have strategies. You're
Here's the house circuit. So, you get the...
You know, not
clearly there's a problem
relying on external things or artificial things or even medications, but
I don't hear any distortion in the sound.
Is smart enough.
That makes me think the coupling caps, at least to the audio side, are probably in pretty good shape. I'm not sure why it still has that residual hum, except maybe this is not a good enough filter, you know, just to knock some of the ripple off. So I'll go ahead and restuff that electric lid before I do anything else, before I even touch any of these other bumblebees. I'm just curious how it's going to sound by just replacing that can, and see if that rest of this hum goes away. Anyway, let me shut everything down here. I took the selenium out because I was kind of concerned about stressing it out. If these cans were shorted, I don't know if it's shorted or not. Maybe it's shorted too. Maybe that's part of the problem. But I didn't want to stress this selenium out if it still works. So after I restuff this can, I'll put the selenium back into the circuit and try it out again. As far as how to restuff it, I'm going to use my minimally invasive approach. Again, going back to that idea that I don't want to like turn this into some kind of a museum restoration. And what that approach is going to be is, hopefully, if I can get this can off. I might have to heat this up and remove this, but since this electrolytic is back here towards the edge of the chassis and very easy to get at, this is a perfect candidate for what I call the bone saw approach. That is, I get the cardboard off, I will leave the can completely wired up, attached, everything just as is, and I'll simply saw off with a reciprocating style Dremel saw. That's the kind that you sometimes see using to cut trim on underneath door trim to make room for flooring tile and such. It's got a blade that kind of goes back and forth like this a little bit, and you just plunge right in there, cut it clean off, boom, it comes out. You leave everything completely wired, then you just drill holes, you break off the nasty part, drill holes down through the base so that you can go in from this side and connect back up. And the reason you do that is it leaves all the wiring and lead dress completely intact. You don't have to unsolder, you don't have to untwist, you don't have to do anything. That's the best way, I mean, that in my opinion, that's the best approach to do this, because it's the least likely to do any harm, and it's the fastest, and you leave the original rivets in place and everything. So anyway, but I gotta start by getting that cardboard can off, so that'll probably be it for today. When I get a little further downstream, I'll do it. I'm not sure if that hum is wholly power supply related. It could be. I haven't tested these tubes yet to see. There might be an HK short, a heater cathode short, maybe. I don't know, but it's looking pretty good so far. I'm pretty. Oh, and this. Oh, I did restring the dial cord. I mean, this thing's, so far it's been a complete pushover. The only thing that was wrong with this was that spring, which looks fairly new, so I don't know, maybe it's been unsprung for a while. This spring was just unhooked here. It was just kind of laying down here. The string didn't break at all, so I didn't have to retie the knot or anything. All I had to do was refish it through, hook it up, and it's perfect. And I lubricated everything, so as you can see, it's all good to go now. So all I got to do is take care of that. I'll probably hold off on any. I didn't hear any static in this control, which is a good sign. So I'm not going to start spraying contact cleaner all over the place. A lot of times these switch banks can be problems, but I'm not a big fan of just willy-nilly spraying things with contact cleaner, just in case there's something gets into a little tiny trimmer, all these little trimmer pots and there, and you can mess up the alignment. So again, only if it's needed do you want to do the work. Don't just go making work for yourself. I didn't check any of these, see if these worked. Everything's looking pretty good though. I think this is going to be one of the easiest ones of all time. Anyway, more later. Okay, step one is to remove this from this. Sometimes they come off easy, sometimes they need a little assistance with a heat gun. Just be careful with this thing. You can generate a lot of heat and cause a lot of problems. I put some insulator here to keep this can from getting super hot. I took the tubes out that were behind it. I made sure I didn't aim it at the speaker, and you know, took a little bit convincing, but that's off. So now what we'll do, I'll take that bone saw and I'll cut it right along this lip here. This will come off.